Hey everyone, Hanz here. Hope you're doing well. Today, going to talk a little bit about the relationship between men and women, the content that is created around it specifically. I think everyone has a good grasp on where to look if you want to know who in society, at least the open part, wants to destroy the relationship between man and woman. Uh, I would argue I would say that's not what I'm going to go on about. It's in my habit, after all, to go into the obscure a little bit more. And so I'm going to put the loop, the lens, whatever you want to call it, more so over the people who push themselves off from these hateful people that want to destroy the relationship between man and woman. Now, where to begin? I've been observing some people, and there might be those who speak on this and do not do this, but I've yet to witness it. And I get the sense that those who want to bond men and women share the same message overall. It does not matter who you listen to, from what I can tell. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope actually that I am. And among the healthy, good messages that are presented there, how to build up your health, what to eat, several changes in tactics, in approaches towards finding good women that are proposed. There is some good stuff there. But I see that it is laden with a lot of poison. And that does not mean that in the powers that be, the factions thereof, that these people are directly working for them. But if they look at their own account and they see themselves blurt out a certain message, and suddenly there's like an uptick in income, they're going to bring that message up more often, right? So they are controlled, but not knowingly so. So it's not necessarily 100% their fault. They might just think that their following is just really appreciative of the message, right? And that's how you societally engineer, if that's how you name it. But you get the idea, right? Um, so there's also a lot of straight up misinformation. I'm not sure I should talk about that straight away. I can get into it at some point, I guess. I have been looking a little bit more into psychology and biology and all of that. So at some point I might bring it up, but not on this one. So we have organizations that might be influencing independence, if you will, but they just do not realize it. Having said so, yeah, what kind of messages do you hear? Well, I'm going to pluck out a few messages and I'm going to present it to all of you, and you do with it what you will. For example, one of the things that is on the rise seems to be like the passport movement or some such. The passport movement is basically men who couldn't find a decent woman who have been subjected to a lot of abuse by females. They decide that they are living in an area where they cannot find anyone decent to have a family with. So they're gonna try to go to another country even. They're going to try to, some might just try to go to another province, another state, another town. That's all well and good. But if they see that it's the same story there, well, then they are quickly going to make a move to more traditionally minded countries, which in of itself is good. There is only one thing that I have to add to that, I guess, is if you go to another country, if you're from the West, usually that means that you have far more wealth on you than these people naturally can gather. Nothing wrong with that in and of itself, I suppose, but there can be, for all the great stories you hear There is something dark that I witness in that. You see, an anti-white specifically is not going to be bothered by this if, or I shall put it this way, in this passport movement, if you will, that they are creating, there is a lot of encouragement for example, Western men, so white men, to go find a spouse in the third world somewhere. For some reason, it's also significantly the same country that they go for. Starts with an F and ends on an Epino. Yeah, these are the people that seem to come up a lot in this, and I wonder at that, what kind of, like, why always there or predominantly there. Now there are many white men who interpret that as, their system is still healthy, if you will. They want to have offspring that is going to survive in a natural setting, without the help of modernity. They want a woman who is not going to take them for their wealth. They're gonna look for a woman who takes them for their, because she shares the same virtues as the man does. For example, starts with an R and ends on Sia. Some men from the West go, well, it's still the West in my opinion, but what have you. People like to make those strange differentiations, I guess. Whereas they should make others that they don't. But I'll get back into that in a moment. So, Western man goes to that place, finds himself a woman of his own race, and lives happily ever after. Pretty good, right? But you see that it can also be pretty dark. And in these, well, maybe movement isn't the best word, but I'm rolling with that term for now. Within that, there is no mention of you stay with your own people, stay with your own blood lineage. While they actually say some actually say, think of your forefathers, think of your heritage, all of that good stuff. Masculine things, overall. However, the problem seems to be that they do not. How I find it just baffling. I just find it baffling to say something like that, but at the same time, you don't speak about these types who go find themselves some non-white, some white men who find a non-white, or they might even be okay with a non-white having a white spouse, like a woman somewhere that they found. It's like you're. I just can't gather that together. Like how do you not connect the two? How does that make sense to you? Granted, there are many of these broken females, but those are not the ones I'm talking about right now. Yeah. So there's one of these little messages out there that I find peculiar, or the things that are just not talked about. I do hope that this video finds itself in that sphere eventually, manosphere or whatever they call it, and that this becomes more of a general topic to bring up to. I know the powers that be are not going to be happy with you, and you might think that your wallet is more important than this. I'm not judging about that, but I still think it's important. Do it behind closed doors if you have to. I'll be the guy who talks about it in the open then, whatever. If I have to be the only one. Yeah. So that sort of stuff, and of course, we see a rise of all kinds of weirdos, depraved individuals who do travel to the third world to do horrible things to the females of other peoples, and I hope that they will meet justice for that. But again, if you're doing this passport thing, be very aware and make sure you I guess it's very important that you sort of what is that word? Be a journalist about it. You don't need to film every waking moment that you're getting on the plane and going to another place or whatever, but give updates regularly about the fun you're having, the things you're doing, because uh, the powers that be, it would be very naive to believe that they will not try to link the depraved to the good. That's what they always do, right? I mean, it has come to the point that they outright call every white man evil just off the bat for that. Unacceptable. So you better believe that they're going to try to spin it the wrong way to force men to stay put, if you will. If they can do it, they will. Because you're messing with their plans and they do not like that, all of these factions. Uh, is there something else that needs mentioning? Oh yeah, the differentiation. Now personally, what I also see in a lot of those content creators is that they talk about women, they talk about men, but when I look at that, I do not agree with that necessarily. They talk about broken males, they talk about broken females a lot when it comes to the degenerate stuff that comes forth. The broken households, the child abuse that takes place, the abuse of the spouse that takes place, the powers that be that help that help broken females. I mean, even that is going to become difficult to talk about in the future. But I find it very important to make that differentiation, because a good woman, a good man, will never stand for any of that. A broken female, broken male, no, they're going to be exhibiting it all over the place. We see it happening. And I think that will make it easier also to come closer, as men and women, if we're going to start making the differentiation. If you can look at someone who is, completely mutilated by surgery and has a nasty attitude, or you have some sort of, you have in the case of someone who works only on his physique and gets as much material wealth as possible and essentially bribes broken females in the hundreds or the thousands to get between the sheets for a night. That is still, that's a broken male. It's this chat cartoon, for example. It's ridiculous in a way. Being 6 foot tall, being handsome, having material wealth is perfectly fine to have. But you have those who are 6 foot tall and are men, meaning they are responsible, they have a sense of accountability, they are honorable, they stand by the consequences of their actions, and that be said. Then you have 6 foot weirdos with shiny teeth and all of that, basically charming sociopaths who prey on broken females and thus create even more abuse, more trauma, basically. That dirty word that so many are so afraid of. I wonder why. So I wanted to throw that in there as well. To end on a bit of a positive note, I suppose. Yeah, I'm gonna close it off now. My as much as I enjoy my walks, my feet are starting to sink into the marshy land that I'm upon now. So I have to hurry a bit. Yeah, as far as positive messages go, if you can find your wifey across the pond, so to say, and everything works out great, you have a wonderful family, your children are bilingual, maybe even, she is of your own people as well, just talks a different language, has a slightly different culture, but shares that same biological spirit. The spirit that every specific race has its own of. I definitely think you should do so. but the promotion of bribing non-whites and bringing them to the West, causing a white erasure, that is unacceptable. And there are those who have already made that choice. Might be a bit too late for them to realize, oh wait, yeah, not the smartest move. I hope that these guys will at the very least have, someone call it, will at least have enough respect for their forefathers and to not promote it onto others. And yeah, I mean, as far as what happens in that family life, I'm not going to go into that right now. That is for the future. I don't have enough time on my machine as is. Yeah, be vigilant, I suppose. And be careful who you listen to. That is to say, try to detect that which is helpful to your people and you. If you are a man, you will stand by your ancestors. That is how simple it is, as far as I'm concerned. So if you are one, then I hope that you will respect that and also respect the other races, that they have their ancestry, and do not bungle it all up with these modern style marriages and what have you, where you only create, you only bring peoples to the earth that can simply solely survive in controlled environments where the powers that be thrive, aka cities. And I would even add to that naturalism. That is a word you should consider. To live, yeah, let me finish on that, I guess. To live in nature, that is the that is just the natural state of capital M man, so also the women. If you're thinking, or I shall put it more positively, you're thinking, if you want to stand on solid ground, so to say, in the realm of thought, you have to root yourself in nature. You have to live alongside it, within it, however you want to call it. Be part of it, essentially. If your lifestyle is anything short of that, or not completely, or is completely detached from that, in a certain sense you're living a mirage. The successful man is not necessarily the one with a castle, with the fancy sports cars, with windows, with doors, I mean, uh, like the wings of butterflies and all of that. It's not about having a bigger hoard. It's about mastering yourself. It's about family. You know, who has the best, the most functional family? Whose children will be able to carry that on without needing to be dependent on anyone else. That is success, I would say. And the cartoon that you have to be some cave creature in deer skin and all of that, that is pure lies, I would say. Especially in recent days, when I've looked into what people were capable of back in the day, with so-called less, without lacking the technology of today, they accomplished far more. So, well, make of that as you will. Things that they still can't explain, things that still can't be done today, that have been made back then. What have you? Yeah. So root yourself in nature. Respect your ancestry and work on your descendants being the most capable that they can be with a minimal amount of things that they would require. I think that's good. All good things are wild and free. And the powers that be do not like that at all. So yeah, there be that. And try to, again, try to differentiate the cake from the poisonous frosting, if you will. There is a foundation there that can be indulged in, but there is a top layer that needs to be shaven off first. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about for now. Real quickly, maybe. This is for the people who do not yet know. I have written, I have already finished it actually, written a book called Thunraz the Thulian. That's what it's going to be. The artistry is being made as the video, on the day that the video is posted. We're already a week or two into that development. One art piece is already created. Needs a bit of refinement, but it's looking really good. And the hope is, the goal is, I should say, the achievement should be around January 2023. It should come out, and I'll leave a message in the box thingy below. It's a bit separate from the message, but yeah, Thunraz the Thulian. I think it's a book that this saddened world could really need to pick itself up a little bit again. If nothing else, just to have a good time. Okay, with that said, you all have a good one. I'll talk to you soon, and bye bye.